here we go. We are back with all new shows. Hey, out there, welcome to my show. Let's talk about it with Xavier Fox. And that's exactly what we do. I'm Xavier Fox, the First Lady of Talk on the Astute Gentleman Radio Network. We're talking about relationships, health, and fitness, getting our money right with investing and crypto info. We have attorney April Prayer, who's laying down the law every first Friday from 1 to 2. We've got girl talk, barbershop talk, and our newest addition to the show lineup, Sexually Explicit. You never know what controversial, intriguing, intense conversation might take place on this show, or who might be the next special guest. I'm here on Monday mornings from 7 to 9 a.m. and on Thursdays and Fridays from 12 to 2. Tune in for the journey and be ready to laugh and open to learn as we explore different viewpoints. We're kicking off all new shows with Miss Rita Stewart, Opening to Love. She's informing us of the 10 ways to get ready. Like they say, get ready, get ready, get ready. And that's what we're going to do. Then it's the finale of What's Hot with our DMV correspondent, Nicole Williams. If you want to participate on the show today, you can actually call in. The number is 01702-GENT. Or feel free to Zoom in using the link which you can find on my Facebook page, Xavier Fox. So let's get to this show. I am in high anticipation. Hey, Miss Rita.
Hey, 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 how are you?
I am great. How you doing today?
I can't complain, nor would I.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a great thing. That's a great thing when you can't complain.
That's right. That's right.
Uh-huh. So you giving us 10 ways to get ready. Now, I have to ask the question because I'm sure some of our listeners out there say, well, get ready for what?
Well, listen, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but relationships need to be our cue in our community. I mean, you have to look at this. Society has miseducated our children, poisoned our foods,
Mhm.
imprisoned our fathers, sons, and brothers.
Mhm.
And then they have convinced us as women to go against family. So our best our best rebellion at this time is to increase our capacity to love and serve each other. We are the divine feminine. We're it. So, in order to do that, I'm telling you, we have to make way for our mate.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
Yes.
All right, you didn't feel no interruption in that, right? Because it makes sense.
Yes, it does. So you gonna tell us how to get ready to make way for our mate.
And I have 10 ways to prepare for you to prepare yourself. Because most of the time we keep thinking that if I just meet the right person. So even if you meet the right person, if you haven't prepared yourself to be a loving being
Mm-hmm.
in that relationship, they can't stay anyway because they need from you exactly what you need from them, right?
Right. Yep.
So I'm going to go through now. The thing is, these 10 points we have to elaborate on.
Okay.
So at any point that if we only get through half of the points, we'll do it the next time.
Okay.
Okay, right.
Okay.
But I like to talk quickly, so we may be able to get through all 10 of them. So
Well,
let's.
I like to ask a lot of questions, so we might not.
That's my point. And I like to tell a lot of stories. I like story time.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, so we down for number one.
Number one, and everybody you've heard this more than one time. The first one is patience.
Mm.
Now, the first thought in your mind is probably, I don't have no patience.
Yeah, my first thought was, okay, it's been 3 years already. So what we talking about?
So, patience, or even trying to rush anything, is a sign of fear.
Mm.
So, if you're in a hurry to get something done, your frequency, your vibration is emanating to the universe that you're afraid. So you're not in the alignment of receiving anything that you're asking for because what you're saying is, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. What's taking so long? I don't want to be waiting all this time. Can you feel that?
Yep.
It doesn't feel like love, does it?
Nope.
Not at all.
Feels like
So,
need.
huh?
Feels like
It
need.
feels like neediness, right?
There's a void.
It's a void. It's an emptiness. It also says that you're not ready, right? So the next thing about patience is pushing yourself to be someplace that you're not. So you meet a person, right? And you know that you're not ready for that relationship. And you'll know as I go through these points. But one of the things, ways you know that you're not ready, is because not only is the need there, but you are so content or challenged to make them want you.
Mm.
You gotta you gotta want me. You gotta be the one for me. You gotta be it, right? So you're not even allowing yourself to get to know this person. You're not allowing yourself for this person to get to know you. And most of the time, because we are in that needy, thirsty state, we force ourselves, right, to be someplace where we shouldn't. So usually we force ourselves into a sexual enticement, right? And what are they calling it now? Entanglement.
Yeah, yeah.
So now you're in this entanglement. And the thing about being sexual with someone when you're really not in a relationship, which is crazy, right? It's like, how do you be sexual and you're not in a relationship? But that's what's happening, right?
A
Is
lot of it.
yeah, you can't let it go. You literally have you've actually given yourself a taste of pleasure. And pleasure has a way of addicting you to itself. So now you will satisfy yourself with that limited satisfaction in bed for, which is what, a small percentage of the relationship, very small percentage. And then you hate the rest of your time with this person.
Wow.
And they hate the rest of their time with you as well,
Wow.
right?
Yep.
So, have you ever been in those situations where you or either have experienced other people in those type of entanglements and you're just wondering, well, why are you still there?
I have been in that situation. I think with excuse my background sounds. The trucks seem to want to come by as soon as we start talking. But I think with the last relationship I was in, at some point I actually start to ask myself, like, okay, why am I still here? And the answer I don't necessarily want to give on the radio, but
Mm,
exactly what you're talking about. There was, because one of the things you taught us was that in every situation we're getting something out of it. There's a
yep,
reason why we stay.
yep,
So what I was getting out of it wasn't really worth what I was putting into it, but at the moment I felt like it was.
yeah. And so it held you long enough. Now, here's you said something very brilliant, because when you can actually observe yourself, right, that gives you just a moment of sense. Like if you can step out of the situation and just see what you're doing without judging, and then you can make some corrective action, right? Because that's what you did. You saw it and was like, yeah, I'm worth much more than this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's great. I love that you were able to see that. So now once you've allowed yourself to develop patience, you're going to begin to look at how is your communication. What are your communication skills? This is two, and I actually term two nonviolent communication.
Mm.
Okay, because most of us, me included, I'm in the room too. Most of us grew up in households where people didn't have, full sentences with us. It's get the F out the way, leave me the F alone, shut the F up.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So there was no real expression of
Right.
words or even feelings for that matter. So here we are as adults, and the first 3 months of a relationship is always the honeymoon period, right?
Oh yeah, that part is real good.
It feels good, it tastes good, it smells
Mm-hmm.
good, okay?
Oh yeah.
And then as soon as there's a disagreement, what's gonna show up are your communication skills. How your mama talk to your daddy, or how your daddy talk to your mama, or how your sister talk to your with all of those things from your childhood environment are now ruling your mouth. And you don't even know what to do. Why? Because you have not stopped long enough to retrain your communication skills. And I promise you, you have to do that. All of us have to do that. Why? Because people prefer that you speak to them in a loving tone in order for them to hear you.
Hmm.
And that's the same way with us. We want people, I mean, do you want people hollering at you when they're mad?
Oh no. Mm-mm.
Absolutely not.
Because I won't hear anything they've said. I just understand that you're yelling at me, so my whole brain function shuts down.
It shuts down. But you know what? We do this to children all the time, don't we?
Yep.
I went to a school one time and I think every teacher, every person in the hallway yelled. And I thought, are we in some kind of boot camp? Is this the military? What is going on? Y'all yelling at the babies?
Aw.
I couldn't stand it. I remember taking my daughter out of a daycare when she was 2 or 3. She came home and said, the teacher yelled at me. And I said, listen, we do not yell at our children. We get down eye to eye and we talk to them. That woman looked at me like,
Thought you
that's
had
some
lost your.
white folk stuff. We don't do that around here.
For sure, you had lost your mind.
Surely you might want to take your daughter out, even though you paying $300 a week for her to be in Cali. Take her out
Woo.
of here. No, you will not be yelling at my child. But this is what we do in our relationships. You understand? We literally yell at our mate, and when we do that, that takes them back to a time when they were young and no one heard them,
Mm.
or didn't appreciate them, or didn't respect them. That's a yelling can be deemed a form of disrespect. But if you grew up in that environment, you don't know that.
Right.
You've never been shown that, so you think it's natural. You know, people, I talk loud. No, you grew up in the house where your daddy and mama yelled all the time.
Right. Right. Right.
And the only way you can be heard is to yell at the top of your voice to compete with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's stressful.
It's just like when people curse all the time.
Well, you talking to me?
Right. When people, no, I'm not talking to you. I'm saying, when you got, I can't remember really hearing you curse, Miss Rita.
Oh, good. I'm
Anyway, when
that.
people curse all the time, I think it's because they're in an environment where either they grew up with people cursing at them all the time, or they are currently in an environment where people curse all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, both of those are probably true. I know for me, I curse because I like the way it sounds.
Oh, well, okay. You like the way it sounds.
So I studied, in college, my major was journalism, right? English, journalism, whatever. It ended up being communication because I had to change my major so many times. But anyway, my freshman English teacher, Pat White, Dr. Pat White, he says, my favorite word in the English language is fuck.
Oh, all right.
I sat up straight. I sat up straight in my chair. Like, yes.
Okay. Woo-wee.
He said it can be a verb, it can be a pronoun, it can be an adverb, it can be an adjective. I said, whoa, break it down.
Got excited too, huh?
I got too excited. So that gave me so much leeway in my self-expression because every other adult, would pop me in the mouth if they heard me say something.
Mhm. Well, I sometimes I do curse too, because
Yeah.
sometimes when you're, especially if you're making a joke or to emphasize something, sometimes you
Yes.
throw that word out there and everybody's like, "Oh, okay, I got you."
Yeah. And especially when I'm in the classroom, that's why I say I'm surprised you say yeah, because I used to be like, oh, listen, I have to emphasize this, and I have to use, you know, some foul language sometimes, you know. But I'm working on
I may have heard you curse, but it just seems so rare and so
yeah.
different.
Well, you know, mostly when I'm around the house talking to myself, I curse.
Oh, you be cussing yourself out. And what
I
kind?
try, I try not to curse at people. So I tell people, you know, if I'm mad at you, I'm definitely not going to curse.
Right.
You know, so you know when we're having fun is I'm cursing. You know,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So but we want to move into the nonviolent communication. So we have to examine our childhood environment and look at the energy of communications in our home. How did people communicate? And now you're going to have to retrain yourself. You may need to go and look up on YouTube, you know, how do I develop my communication skills? You
Wow.
know, yes, how do I speak lovingly? How do I use my tone? Let me tell you something. Voice can be the most healing medium on the planet. That's why we love music so much, right? The tone itself. So you can use your voice to soothe just as much as you can control. You can control someone with your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to be firm and direct, but most of the other times you want to be soft and loving. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that was number two. So number one, developing
Patient.
patience. Number two, nonviolent communication. I specifically say nonviolent because we have all come from violent communication styles for the most part. And we want to change that. We really do. And if we could do anything and change that with our children, start there. Change it with their soften that tone, right?
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
if you need help with that, give me a call 773-969-6211. We'll set up some sessions. Yeah, we can do some communication, okay?
All right.
So, number three. Now, this one is going to be interesting.
Uh-oh.
Sustainability. Are you financially comfortable?
Mm.
Have you developed discipline within the material world? Have you created a plan for your future? Now, you know why that's difficult, right? Because most women want a partner for what?
To provide and protect.
Come on, give me your pockets, man. Give me your wallet, man. I want all your credit cards and your bank account. Give it to me. Give it to me, right?
Give it to
And,
me.
and, and because we have come from, I mean, think about the history. We've come from a history where women were taught to trade sex for money.
Yep.
But that was back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
That was back in the day. So now you want to have your own sustainability
Mm-hmm.
so that you can have a choice in the matter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're having to pimp yourself out to find, you know, that whole conversation about high value men and low
Mm-hmm.
value, you know, all of that is just distraction, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Totally distraction. Because when you meet somebody, all they want to do is love you and they will try to make it work. But if you show parts of yourself that are not sustainable, they're not here to save you.
Right.
And you know, we teach that in the course, no rescuing.
Yep.
So you're going to have to come to the table with something.
And that's one of the things that I really want to develop a class if I could have time. I have a lot of ideas, but you need manpower because I think that young women, there's like an evolution going on right now. So we started out back in the day where all of that provide and protect was necessary because women were kind of on a second tier, so to speak. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Not that they were a lower class citizen or anything, but they weren't able to make the money that we can make now. They weren't able to take care of themselves and provide for themselves the same way because there was just rules in place. Heck, Black people in general,
Come
were
on.
at a disadvantage. And then women in particular, you go past that, they were the last ones to come through. And so it was a necessity that a man be a provider because otherwise what was going to happen? And it wasn't because he fell in love with you. It was because your daddy said okay to him.
Come on.
You know,
And what the price?
yes, with a price. And he paid your daddy with a
Mm-hmm.
dowry so
Yep.
that he could have the woman because he needed to make kids because at that point in time, agriculture was the leading job.
That's right. And the more children you had, that rounded up to your wealth and your ability to farm the land and make more money.
Absolutely. And I try and tell people this, but some people just they think I'm crazy and I'm really a lot smarter than they think I am. But anyway, we don't have those same issues now. So a woman should want to live out her best life. You don't have to make your life just be about the house and the family. You can actually pursue your goals and dreams and be fulfilled and still have a house and family.
That's right. And you know the when you talk about the part where your husband needs to provide, that's when you come into the conversation of having children. Well, at this time, there's probably going to be a 10-year period where you will be with the children and not be inside of a conversation of having your own money. But now, because you have a partner that supports you and know that your discipline is not going to be to just empty the bank account, he will willingly,
Right,
lovingly say, okay, yeah, this is what we're doing.
right,
And
right,
I got you. We got you. But if you're sustainable already, that's an easy choice.
right.
But you don't want to be in a situation where you get into a relationship and your money is scarce and then something happens or you do get pregnant and now the relationship, now you go into divorce. You don't want to be in that situation.
And another thing, and this is from my own personal experience, so I was married and I was a housewife. And the thing about that, we were so young though, so we weren't as established as
Right, right, right. Yep.
so we were so young. So when he was killed, I
Yep.
pretty much had to start over.
Yes, ma'am.
We were looking at houses to buy in New Jersey, and
Yep.
then he wasn't there anymore. And since I was a housewife, it wasn't like my income was going to still get us a house.
Right.
So I had to take my now two kids and we had to start over. And so if you get yourself together so that you are sustainable on your own, you can always live the life that you desire to live if you have already set that up. Then I think you can choose differently, because then you don't choose a man just because he's got some money or
That's
because
right.
he can offer you a different type of life, because you got the life. You got a life. Now you
And
can choose him
that's
because
right.
he emotionally and mentally and intellectually and spiritually stimulates you, not because, oh, he can buy me a Birkin bag.
Mm-hmm. Now, suppose we're talking to men too.
We absolutely are talking to men too.
Exactly. So are they have to be just as financially comfortable as we're telling women to be. And they have to developed a discipline with the material world because this world will have you spend your every dime on stuff.
Right. Yep.
Right? On stuff you just you got to have the next this, the what you call the Birkin bag. You have to have the next all that, right? And men have become just as much a shopper as women have.
Oh yeah.
So you want to make sure that you have developed a sense of discipline in the material world. You know how to balance your checkbook. Well, they don't do checkbooks, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. Because now the men are out there buying hoochie daddy shorts.
Girl, I said that. Hoochie Daddy shorts. I'm like, I don't think I've been out and saw those. Have you seen them yet?
They're supposed to be the short shorts. They're supposed to, the guy that's always promoting this hoochie daddy summer thing. He said they supposed to show your thighs. He's like, man, show your thighs. I'm like, that don't sound quite right coming from a man, but okay.
It was so interesting because the other day I was with my son and we were watching the Magic Johnson documentary. And so when they came out with the shorts on, I said, "Oh my God, they look like little underwear, boxes or something." I said, "Those are kind of short, aren't they?" And he laughed so hard.
Yeah, we got away from the shorter shorts, but yeah, they having a hoochie daddy summer, so we supposed to
Okay.
see some male thighs. We
Well,
down there at the lakefront at
I was gonna say next time you come out
631.
this way, that's right. We have to go to the beach. Check it out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So men have to take that same perspective and they also have to have a plan for the future.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know not, and you can't just use it, count on just your job
Right.
nowadays. You have to have more things working for you. And I'm grateful that you have a show that talks about cryptocurrency and gold and silver and all the different financial lines, because you have to have several streams of income.
Yep. Robert
Several.
Kiyosaki says at least seven,
Yes,
and he
at
says
least.
that what is it? 75% of your income should be passive.
Oh, good gee. Well, shoot, all my income. I'm working on the passive. It's so interesting because I do not function from that currency level, but I'm grateful. I do have mentors that's always keeping me on track, right?
Mhm.
Because I just want to wake up every day and say, "How we serving the world today?"
Aw,
I should have been a minister,
okay.
like I have a tithing plate going around.
Maybe me too, huh?
Yeah, right, right. What difference we making in the world? You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what I be on. Like, what we creating today?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
All
agree.
right. So now that long we got men and women checking on number three, sustainability, and that's real. If you cannot afford to take a woman on a date,
Right.
don't ask her for her phone number.
Right.
Nobody wants to sit on the phone with you all the time, getting
And
their
don't be asking me if you could come over to my, am I gonna cook or come to your house and
No,
cook?
that's
Because
not
I'm
the
not
first
coming
date.
to your
Coming to my house is not ever a first date because,
never.
first of all, that's a security issue.
Yeah, and I'm not going to your house on the first day. We are not
Never.
going out in public.
Yes, I have to have some credentials on you before you ever get to my house. Matter of fact, we got to do some readings. You know me.
Yes, yes. You don't know
Every
his
time
whole
somebody
secret.
call,
So,
right? Somebody I met somebody. Okay, yeah, they look like this and they drive this kind of car. They live
mhm.
here.
What's his
Okay,
birthday?
what's their birthday? I mean, that's the first thing out your mouth. I met somebody and their birthday is,
Yes,
you
I
know,
know this now because you did that to me. You're like, what's his birthday? I don't know. Okay, well, you
you're
don't know
like, well, wait, I'm trying to tell you the good stuff. Don't even matter because all that might be null and void.
his birthday. Exactly what you said.
Right, because people get so excited about how somebody look. Baby, let me tell you something. It's what's underneath
Yep,
that counts.
yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
You can be attracted to the most beautiful flower in the world and touch it and it's poisonous.
Yep.
Okay.
A rose is a very beautiful flower, but if you touch it the wrong way, it's gonna stick you.
You got thorns on it, right?
Yes, it does. And some of these folks come with some thorns, man.
That's right. So part of our work is to really support, people in reframing how they think of themselves going into relationships. You have to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be ready or committed to getting ready because sometimes the universe will send you somebody. They will send you somebody and you know that you're not ready.
Right.
You be like, oh man, I really want to be with him, but man, I ain't ready. But
Yep.
guess what? You'll pull out them 10 points and say, okay, what do I need to work on?
Yep. Because
Or you
again,
feel like,
I mentioned my last relationship since that, that was the most frequent one. And one of the things that I've been pondering, once you get away from the hurt and you look back and as a life
yep.
coach certified through Master Force,
Hey,
I have to look at myself to see where I stood in all of that. So now that I'm away from the hurt, I can look back and see, okay, I didn't have the sustainability because I didn't, like I could go to his place and we could hang out, but I didn't have my own place where we could hang out.
see there.
I wasn't bringing to the relationship what I was getting from the relationship to some degree.
That's wonderful. See, that kind of insight really helps you. It's as humbling as it may seem to you, it's really something you needed to know.
Yeah, yeah. And it was very humbling because even though my situation, I was taking care of my parents at the time. So I
Mm-hmm.
was here, you
Yeah,
know, and
yeah.
I didn't, it just was the situation that it was. I mean, I wouldn't change anything. I needed to be here at that
That's
time.
right.
But
Right.
that meant that at that time, I wasn't ready really for that long-term commitment relationship because I wasn't really bringing what I was, looking for.
Exactly. And sometimes we just meet people for comfort. You know what I'm saying? You need, really, it's a time in your life where just somebody to talk to is good. Don't mean it needs to be a long term relationship. It's just something in that moment that gives you, a distraction from the day to day.
Yep, and that's what it was or should have been. But you know how we are, Miss Rita. Something feel good, we think it's forever immediately.
Well, we've been trained by the fairy tales. We've been trained well by Hollywood and Disney that you have to live happily ever after
With one person
with
forever.
one per, and there is the chosen one to stay faithful. But that's not true. It has nothing to do with human nature. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Everything has a term, and it runs its term. Now, it doesn't mean that you cannot create a sustainable relationship, because people have done it. We see it
Right.
happen all the time.
Yep.
But relationship, or I should say, and relationships inside of the way that I look at them are for your spiritual evolution. The universe is not interested in your pockets, in your sex drive, in your compatibility, none of that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you spiritually grounded? Is your soul expanded? Are you getting closer to knowing your truth for who you are? Do you know God for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
So, many times we relationships are taken out of our midst because we put too much emphasis on that person. This is my all in all. And God is like, yeah, well, you're not going to grow there, are you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you
If
know,
your whole life
and
becomes about that person, then
whole life.
that's
And
the
it's
wrong
not
thing.
about, yeah, it's not about judging you or even trying to punish you or anything, but you literally, and it goes back to the book, and I probably said on every recording, your soul's plan, where we have lined up our relationships with people. And we've said, when I get to this age, if I haven't did this, well, do this so that I can learn this lesson, because this is what I came here to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And we think it's harsh and life is hard and all that, but no, this is what you agreed to. This is what you asked for.
You told me one time, that relationships are supposed to nurture you onto the next phase.
Yeah,
So whatever that phase is, or however long that nurturing takes, that relationships they mirror you. They make you
yeah,
look at yourself.
yeah. And that's that the challenge that we have is that a lot of times when we get in relationship with people, one person will keep growing and the other one won't.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you're not looking at a mirror, you're looking at an enemy almost. Like, I don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
The person who's not growing is intimidated. They're going to try to minimize your growth. They're going to sabotage you because they know that if you keep growing, you're going to leave them.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to leave them for
Mm-hmm.
your own life.
Mm-hmm.
You're not here to be a martyr, and to be present to just what that person wants.
And I think in some relationships, again, referencing my last one, I think in some the other person can kind of see that, because sometimes people know that they're kind of where their journey is,
Yep.
and they can see that, okay, you're still growing, and where you're going,
I'm
i'm
not
I'm
going.
not going.
And
So
I
I
can't
probably need to
stand.
let you go now, because if I hold on and then you leave me, that's gonna be worse for
That's
me.
that's right. And so they can't invest that emotional tie. You know what I'm saying? They can't anchor. They can't anchor you because it's not for their well-being to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's maturity talking. Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
A mature person would know that. I remember I walked away from relationships and I'd be like, man, that's some big girl stuff. That's like who does that? You want to be there, and that's not for you.
Yep.
You know, even as much as you would want it to be, that it's not for the well-being of the person.
Mm-hmm.
And people, oh, I can make it work, and you're like, okay, you know, okay. So now let's go on to number four.
Okay.
Number four, authenticity.
Mm.
Now this is a good one because you hear people all the time talk about meeting other people's representatives.
Mm-hmm.
So, where in your life are you pretending? And it's like people pretend all the time. They pretend, and that pretentiousness comes inside of wishing that they were someone other than who they are,
Wow.
right? Or either they're trying to get there, they just haven't got there yet. So the only part that they can give you is what they know about themselves now, but they pretend that they're not that. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
So, they might start off, they got paid, and so this week they can take you out and they can, but they ain't paid no rent, no car note, no food at home.
Oh
So
no.
now, but they took you out on a date. They spent that 500. They whatever they did.
Yeah. Okay,
But
so for me, if somebody were to spend $500 on a date with me, first we don't have to do all of that. But if they did, and I find out that the next week you on the eviction list, you are not the one because your sustainability and plan for the future and all that stuff is
it's
off.
not intact. But do you know that I've seen women that don't care.
That's crazy.
They don't care. I don't care. I just want to be treated like a queen.
Mm-mm.
So I don't care what's going on with you. Go do what you got to do for you. But when you're ready for me, you better come back and able to treat me like a queen.
Those are short-term people. They just in
Short
it for
term people,
right
because
now.
queens are of service all day long. A
And
true queen.
and they're there for the long term. And so the
Yeah.
queen is going to reign. And if I'm a reign, and I'm reigning with you, and you are the king, we reigning together. I can't have a king that's okay with jeopardizing our
Yeah.
place to live and our food to eat long term. Because if he do it now, he'll do it later too. Because if
That's
he goes
exactly
on a
right.
date with me, it'll be whatever other thing he feels is worth putting us at risk.
But this is where we are in our community if we want to be straight about it. Most of our men have been hindered in this society on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They have been hindered. And I'm not making excuses, but our school system does not favor black men.
Mm,
They can't
I,
even teach them.
mm-hmm.
They get them on that school of prison thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Train, and they set them up.
Mm-hmm.
Now they go and do whatever time they do, and they come back out, and now they have to acclimate themselves to society. And the first thing they need is a good woman.
Mm-hmm. What they call
So
that, recidivism? Is
yeah,
that what
then when they keep going back,
yeah. Uh-huh.
or when they don't go back, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So you need a good woman to keep you strong, right? But you cannot pretend that you haven't. Oh no, I didn't get my high school diploma. Oh yeah, I did 10 years in the joint. Oh yeah, I did get my GED, and this is what I'm working on. That's the place where you gotta be real, because, and you just said it. If a woman is long term, she can hear that,
Mm-hmm.
and she can support that because she's already coming with her own sustainability. She's not going to support you, don't get me wrong, but she can stand by you while you build yourself up
Yep.
without saying, oh, you got to do this for me, you got to do that for
Yep.
me. I hear somebody recently was talking to me, and they said, oh, does he pay your bills? Who? Does who pay my bills? Why? You know, that mentality
Yep.
is really part of the the whole government sustainability system. All of that is tied up in that, because now We have different ways of creating finances for ourselves.
Hmm.
So we don't have to set ourselves up, you know, to have somebody else do it. So when we talk about where in your life where are you pretending, we also want to examine for anybody that we're dating. We want to give them a space where they can be real. And the question is, do you have people around you where you can be vulnerable? Can you share your heart? Can you share the things that have hurt you? Have you divulged the worst things about your childhood?
Wow.
Because those things in our childhood are going to show up in that relationship if they are unhealed.
Yep.
They are suppressed and ignored. If you pretend, I used to tell people when I was growing up, I said, yeah, my mother, what was my mother? I think my mother was a nurse and my father was a lawyer on a good day. You know, well, my mother was in a mental institute and I ain't never known my daddy a day in my life.
Oh wow. Okay.
But that was my story and I was sticking with it because it was easier for me to do that because I was smart. I got good grades, and people, it's like they could believe that better than, oh, your mother, your mother in a mental institution, right? That don't make sense.
That makes me think of this story as we talking about authenticity
Yeah.
and giving a person the space to share their heart. And so I watch the reality shows, especially when
Yeah.
it has something to do with dating and love. So on Married at First Sight, there was this one couple, and the guy, he was adopted by his aunt at a young age, and his mom died. um, I think she gave him to the aunt because she had cervical cancer or something like that. So she gave him to her when he was 9 months, and she passed away when he was 3. And so he grew up with women in the family. Nobody in his family was married. He was going to be the first person married. He got married at first sight, right? Well, growing up as a kid, he was teased. He was dark skinned. He had dyslexia. So he was teased a lot because he was never good enough. Okay. Fast forward, now he's on this show, Married at First Sight, and we're all seeing this come out of him because he still felt, because the woman that they matched him with, she had a college degree and she was like all of everything that she was, right?
Right.
But he feels less than. So what does he do? He lies. He
Yep.
lies about how much money he makes. He
Yep.
lies about having traveled the world. He lied about pretty much everything. And he did this on national TV. So when
Mm.
he get caught in a lie, excuse me, it wasn't just getting caught in a lie with her, but she was like, I know they probably matched us based on what was on paper, but all of that was lies. She said, I don't know who this person is. I don't know. I'm not even getting to know this man because he's continually lying. Everything started turning out to be a lie. And so when they did what's the thing at the end when they call
Oh,
them
the prologue. Yeah.
the meeting at the end, when they do that
Yeah.
meeting at the end, the
Yeah.
reunion, when they did the
Mhm.
reunion at
Uh-huh.
the end,
Uh-huh.
he said, he was getting help because he never really dealt with, feeling less than, not feeling good enough, his self-esteem. And so he made up a persona that he thought was acceptable. But when that starts breaking down, then, she didn't stay married to him because she said she didn't know who he was. She never did get to know who he was because he's continually lied. But that whole thing of, dealing with your childhood issues and how they affect you as an adult, that was such a blatant display of that. I just had to share it.
Yeah, I remember. I think I remembered that. And what I think I remember about her was her communication style was very harsh.
Oh
You remember?
yes, she was.
It was. I could sense in him, the little boy, there was something about him that I could see. I didn't know. I didn't go as far as you did to know that. All of that. But I remember telling her, talking to her telepathically.
You talking to the TV.
Break it down, sis.
Yeah,
Break it
she was
down.
harsh.
you know, and I felt for both of them because I clearly understood what she was saying.
Mm-hmm.
But her communication, and I heard him say it a couple of times, you know, how you talk really stops me from saying anything.
Mm-hmm. 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 Because he
She
felt
could
judged.
yeah, she could have gotten to all of that. And not saying that all women got to be therapists, and all that, but I promise you, communication is going to be your greatest. I listen to my children and their relationships, and they've been with their partners much longer than I've ever been with any partner, right? So I'm learning from my children, right? But they still today have these long conversations with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, where they just sit and they have pillow talk. I be in the other room like, what the hell are they talking about? 2 o'clock in the morning, and not arguing and raising it. You know what I'm saying? Because communication is going to be at play all the time.
I love that type of intimacy where you lay in the pillow talk at two
Oh
in the
man,
morning.
and you could just talk and
That's
talk
great
about
stuff.
anything and everything, and it's always something to talk about. Why? Because life is changing all the time.
Yep. And I think that's how you can grow together. If you're
Yes.
communicating with each other about, where you are and you enjoy those moments, you see the growth in your partner, and you can kind of start to grow together, or you see early that you guys are growing in different directions, but you can
Catch
figure
it.
out how to
You can catch it.
blend it,
That's right.
you
Yep.
blend it versus letting it get where you two are now two different people because you haven't talked to each other. And now you're like, who are you? Well, who are you? Well, I don't really like who you become. Well, I don't like you either. So, fuck
And
it.
then you ignore it because you think, oh, they're just upset. Well, that's developing communication skills so you can deal with intense, hard conversations gently. Oh, baby, you smooth like butter.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to go in there, stand toe to toe and not be intimidated, but with love and light all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I can handle your truth even if it hurts me.
Right.
We do it with our children all the time.
Yep.
But
Yep.
why don't we do that with our partners? We almost force our partners to be somebody that they're not instead of letting them be themselves.
That's
You
what.
know, yeah, yeah. So we really want communication. That's why it's number 2 on the list, right? Communication. Okay, so we at number 4. The last part of number 4 about authenticity. Are you able to identify your own patterns?
Mm.
Right? So you don't want to be in a relationship where you can see something like you know that you overspend and you're constantly trying to hide it. You're gonna
Mm.
hide your overspending. Now that's dishonest in a relationship, right? Because we have an agreement on a certain way. But if that's your money, you can spend your money. But with the household stuff, we all need to know what's going on. So if you have a pattern of hiding and overspending, you now have to be able to clean that up. And you know, if you don't want to go to your partner first, then go someplace and get some help. Go find out. You have to take a budgeting class. Get it straight, get it on record for yourself to know. But you have to be the one to identify your patterns. Don't have the house note be so far behind that you getting ready to get foreclosed and now you got to tell your partner no.
Oh Lord. Lord, Lord, Lord.
No, that's not how you do that. And that's just one expression of identifying your patterns, because some people, their pattern is that they cannot allow their mates to go out unattended. What do I mean by unattended? The mate has to be with you. Couples, it's almost like you in order for love to actually grow, you have to be separate sometime. The best love relationships are those that can go away and come back. You stay connected, but
Yep.
yeah, I gotta go and do this work.
Yep.
Then I'm gonna come back to you.
You want your mate to choose you over and over again.
Consistently. But
Right.
if his choosing means that he has to be up under you all the time,
Right.
no, that's imprisonment.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Actually, it's codependency that's a form of imprisonment because now when you leave, I'm gonna have a fit. I'm gonna be sitting on the couch eating and watching TV and just waiting, moaning and groaning for you to come back. I'm not whole until you walk in the room. That's not a healthy relationship.
That's fear, actually. It's fear because you don't really believe that your mate is going to choose you if they are able to go out there and see different options and opportunities because you don't feel adequate in yourself and you think they're going to choose someone else unless you just know you have somebody who is just not monogamous. And I'm not even going to call them a cheater. I just think that some people don't tell the truth about who they are, their authenticity. you
Yep.
know they're not in a safe space because society doesn't really offer much of a safe space for folks to say, I'm really not monogamous and I really don't want to be monogamous.
Right.
We're almost looked down upon if you share that. So this
Well, but
person
that's a pattern though, right? Now, if you get into if you're a person that gets into a relationship and you know this person thinks that you're only in a relationship with them, but you're not telling them any different, that's dishonest,
hmm
right? So we're talking about how to get ready for a long-term relationship. In a long-term relationship, both parties get to choose.
right.
So if you're telling me that you want to have other relationships outside of me, then let's not choose to be in a long-term relationship. I know people that want you to only have them while they choose others.
Right.
And that's like, no, that doesn't work here.
Yeah, that won't work. Mm-mm.
Not in a spiritually grounded, because literally the energy. I mean, people used to worry about STDs. No, that's that energy, that venom, that demonic, that evil that's traveling the world through here. Most of it is coming through people through sex.
Mm.
That energy, because when you're actually connecting all of your juices, all of them, sweat, spit, semen, come on, right? You're connecting all of it.
That sounds like an interesting cocktail.
Okay, that's on the exotic show. We'll talk about that anyway. But you're connecting all of that, but you're also getting all of their anxiety, all of their fear, all of their depression. If they take medication, all
Mm.
of the medication, okay? I mean, I'd be like, well, what kind of prescription drugs do you take?
That is so real. I went on a date with this guy some years ago now, and I remember he kissed me, and it made my, not in a good way, but it literally made my tongue tingle.
Huh?
And we had a discussion, after that, we had a discussion. I asked him, so are you on any, prescription drugs? How's your health? That's one of my questions. How's your health? And then he started to tell me that he had some kind of cancer
Uh,
and some kind of drug that he took. And because I'm holistic, I don't take any drugs.
mhm.
And I mean, except marijuana, but that's not a drug. Anyway, but
Right.
when he kissed me, I actually had a response to it. That was really weird. So that's very real. What kind of drugs do you take?
So
What
did you
medication?
continue to date this guy?
No, I did not. That was our first and last date.
Oh yeah, yeah, and yeah. So I'm good. That's why I told people. I said I'm gonna make sure the young women get that men. I'm good if I don't. You know what I mean? Because I've had a good time, but all the criteria right now today,
Yes.
you done got jabbed and you take prescription drugs
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and
And
you don't.
it's hard to find somebody that's holistic, that's
Oh my
not
goodness.
taking, medications and stuff, because what the FDA, the Food and Drug
Mhm.
Administration, they got everybody on something.
They got everybody on something, and then if they don't, they putting it in the water.
Man.
Okay.
Oh,
Or they sprinkling it down from the sky,
exactly.
so
Them chemtrails and stuff, because your
mhm,
body is made to heal itself
it's
and regenerate.
yes it
So your
is.
body will heal itself.
Yeah.
But when we start getting all this other crap, the stuff they putting in the food, the stuff, like you said, the chemtrails in the air, our body's got a lot to deal with. You really got to stay on top of that stuff. But yeah,
Right.
everybody thinks like they taking something. I ain't
And
taking
so
nothing.
if you're not a holistic person and you don't know that you should detox
Right.
on a regular basis, then you have all of that in your body.
Yep.
And it's oozing out of your skin, which is your biggest detoxing organ. So now, if we connecting on any level, include a hug, I'm getting it. You see that?
Yep.
So you have every right to choose.
Yep.
So you need to tell me what's going on if you're
Before you
going to have
sweat on me, I want to know what's in your sweat.
yeah. And then if you're going to have other partners, I need to know this partner. I need to know what she doing, what he doing, what they up to, because now we're part of a family.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
understand that? We part of a family.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I used to date a guy years ago, and he had a daughter and an ex, and they were never married. They just had the daughter together. But he would go on vacation with them, and when he would come back, he would be so evil. And the first time he came, I said, I said, you need to go and actually, decompose or decompress or something. I said, do you
Decompose. He just
something?
died. Just
Yes,
died.
but he was, I was like, wait, that wasn't a sweet person that you left him being, you know? And I tease him about it now. I said, oh, that was, you were just, it was like you became Jekyll and Hyde after you went over there to be with him. And I didn't like that,
Wow.
and because we don't realize that we're picking up in other people's energy, we're transferring that energy to ourselves, and we're not detoxing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have to identify our own patterns. We have to be willing to share with people where we are for real. This is who I really am. It is not okay to say, have this whole conversation about representatives. That's bull crap. Okay, that's just another way of people not being real.
Yep.
Okay, create the space around yourself where you allow people to be real and accept their truth without judging them. Be like, like you did. Oh, okay, we just want to date again. Just don't answer that call.
Right. Just not gonna answer that call. Because that didn't work for me. Sometimes I think that representative shows up as a result of sometimes of people having low self-esteem. And
Oh,
again, when we
definitely.
go back to the authenticity,
Mhm.
them not feeling like they're really enough, but something motivates them to give it a shot anyway.
Yeah. And I can see, I see it. I mean, people have been trained. People going to get jobs do that, right? They pretend to be somebody, right? People
Mm-hmm.
going on interviews. That's not the same person that's going to show up at work.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I can see in society where we have part of that be okay. But when we're talking about long term relationships, we have to be willing to show parts of ourselves that we haven't shown before. Because that's what your connection is. That's how the person gets to know you.
What's funny? You made me think about when back when I worked in corporate America, I was a staffing manager for a while, right? So I interviewed and hired and trained many, many people here in this city. And I would, people come in, they fill out the application, I interview them and stuff, I give them a job, right? Because that's what they wanted was the job, right? That's what they was there for. That's what we all there for.
Right.
Then I call them with a job, and then they don't want to do this and they don't want to do that. And then I go, I'm like, what did you come in here for? Why did you take this job? This is what the job was. Why didn't you fill out an application to go do nothing? Because what did you come here for? I used to
Mm-hmm.
ask them that.
And that's real because I mean, I don't know why people, well, I do know why too. It's part of that. You know, I want what I want and I want you to give it to me.
Hmm. Hmm.
I want to be spoiled, right? So I want this job, but I want to come in when I want to, and I want to leave when I want. You know, but people have that, especially these millennials. I actually love them for that. By the way, they won't do like we did. They ain't gonna be no burnout.
I tell people all the time, live life on your own terms, whatever
Yep.
that means, good or bad. You
I know.
know, live like, because then you'll be happy where you are, wherever that is. I've made some decisions that didn't go the way I thought they were, but I've always lived life on my own terms.
Same
So
here.
I
Yeah.
can't say, oh well, I regret doing that, because well, part of doing that was actually really fun. That's why I did it. It was fulfilling. And I think life is about being fulfilled and happy. They say
Yes,
joy,
it is.
joy is better than happy.
Yes, it is.
So I want
Yes,
to be fulfilled and full of joy. And the things that I choose to do, they bring me that. They may not bring me at this particular moment. It might not be $1 million in my account at this particular moment. Now, next moment we don't know about, but
it
in
can
the
open up something. That joy can open up something. That's
yes, and
exactly
on
right.
that, we always focus on that destination, but that journey along the way needs to be on your own terms so that you can reach your destination and be happy about being there.
Man, I think maybe 10 years ago, somebody asked me something about what I want to do. I said, it was oh so interesting. I wrote out a life plan when I want to say 19 or 20. It was for my gerontology class in college, and said, what do you want to do in life? And I wrote out the plan, and, maybe about 20 years later, I picked it up and I said, man, I did everything on this plan.
Hmm.
That's pretty phenomenal, right? And so then I had to create another plan,
Hmm.
right? And then I did all of that. And so I said, well, just like you just said, I said, well, suppose it's not about having a plan. Suppose
Hmm.
it's just about having the experience.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. The experience is where the
Opening to,
memories come in.
yes, what's next? And when I said that, the universe said, oh, good. Now, can you go here? Good. Can you go here? All of a
Hmm.
sudden, people said, oh,
Hmm.
you're so unstable. I said, yeah, that's what it looked like to you.
Right, right, right.
Know, but inside of who I am and the work that I do, and Timothy, he's my resident astrologer. He's like, yeah, Moo, your astrology says that you have to move around, and no matter where you go, you're gonna always have some place to live. So just trust that, right?
Okay.
I was like, yes, you know.
I'm looking forward to my reading with him. I promised myself I was gonna get one for my birthday because I haven't had
Yes, because that was so inside of being spiritually grounded for me. Because it was just because it's like you listen to other people. Oh, you just look at that, and it said, "Listen." When the universe say, "Listen, I want you to go over here," it's not asking you to do nothing but go.
one. Right.
Stop trying to convince other people that you're supposed to be there for them.
Yeah, I don't do that no more. And
Yeah, right.
everybody knows now. Everybody know that I'm the gypsy.
Yeah, yeah. Call me what you want to.
They can call me whatever. It don't matter.
That's right. I got a Gemini moon, baby. I will move around.
I will move around, and I have certainly moved around. Some people ask me if I was running from the law. I'm like, what? No, I don't have them kind of troubles. You know,
Right, right.
just you led.
Okay, let's move on to number five. Number five. I think we can get through number five. Yeah. Okay. Now, number five is one that you have hinted at already, and it could very well be number one. I really had to struggle with what order to put these in because they all hold such value, right?
Mhm.
And this one is very weighted because it's health and fitness.
Yes,
Do you take regular responsibility for your health and fitness?
yes, yes, yes.
I mean, how in the world can you ask someone to be in a long-term relationship with you, but you take recreational drugs, you drink alcohol, you eat poorly, you don't work out, you binge on the television? I mean, really?
Yep.
Now, what do you think your life is going to be like 10, 15 years from now?
Right. 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 Because I'm
You
not
know,
trying to wipe your butt. I don't care.
I was engaged to a guy twice, and you know, we have so much fun together. We're still good friends, but that was my biggest thing. I said, I can't, I'm going to tell you, I'm not the person that's going to sit by your bedside and take care of you. I don't care how much I love you. My life is not here to make sure that one other person get their life together.
Mhm.
That's, you know, and that's me being authentic,
Now I
right?
will hire somebody to come in and take care of you.
No, I listen. I'm listen. If you don't see the value
That's true.
you doing that for yourself right now, that's another conversation.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, I cannot you people sometimes want you to prove that you love them.
Yep.
I can't prove that.
Right.
Yeah.
And they
You have
want you to prove it
nothing
by
to
doing the most horrific things.
yeah. And it's like, no. So the first thing that we have to do is take responsibility for our health and fitness.
Absolutely.
And
Health
with
is the real wealth. It got to be number one.
oh yeah, that's that exactly. Health is yes, is wealth. It really you don't have life. You don't have a good life without good health.
That's right. You don't have
Okay?
anything, no matter how much money you have. If you
Yeah.
don't have health, you can't enjoy your money.
Yeah, I know some I've had plenty of wealthy people tell me that. I'd say that to me, I would gladly exchange my wealth for your health. I said,
Yep.
oh, no, I've had to work on this. And then, you know, I've had that experience just in the last year where I had to recalibrate my whole life because I fell 3 times and sustained a hip injury.
Yeah.
And here I am over 60. The last
Yes.
thing you want to do is fall.
Yes. Yes.
Timothy is like remove. You know, in your chart, you were born during a Mercury retrograde
Oh
and
God.
during a Uranus retrograde.
Oh gosh.
And so you have to be careful because you will have unexpected falls, right? Then I'm talking to brother Samir, and he's like, well, Muslim suit, you know that in Sagittarius you have Mars, Mercury, and Saturn, and Sagittarius rules the hips. I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold what? You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, now I gotta go deeper. So I'm so grateful for being spiritually grounded because I knew that this was spiritual work. I wasn't about, you know, it's like, yeah, we already know, right? And you know, have the healers all around me, right?
mhm.
And you know, the things that I actually learned about that was that trauma holds itself in the hips, you know, for women, because our hips are different than men's, right? So men don't have the same hip structure as women do, because we bear the children, right? Now weight is in our hips, but so many other things. And hips also can point to moving through life too fast,
Oh wow.
right? Or fear of the future.
Really?
Right? Yes. So it's like, wow, you know, so to spend almost the last, what, 8 months being inside of that conversation of nurturing and healing, you know, it's like, this is really different for me because I've always had optimal health. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. That and I definitely relate to I'm not 60 yet, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
at an age where and I still wear my 4, 5, 6 inch heels.
Yeah, yeah.
So falling, that's why I don't wear them downstairs anymore.
And you know what? It's so interesting. When I fell, when I each time that I've fallen, I literally was just walking down the street. I wasn't running. I wasn't skipping. I wasn't drinking. You know, I've been in those situations and nothing happened. You know, I literally was walking down the street. So I knew that it was a spiritual message. You,
Wow.
you know, And because I didn't break any bones, didn't have any immediate where I had to go to the hospital and all that, but I did have to sit still. I did to take full responsibility for my healing, and I just found out, after 60 your whole chemical system changes, so you have to up your nutrients, you have to add new nutrients, you have to change your eating pattern. There's just so many different things but we also go through our Saturn return at that age. I mean, it's just another adventure.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just it's another way of trusting that the universe is going to take you from now into the next thing.
Wow.
But you have to integrate all of those traumas that you experience now so that they're not holding you back or they're not holding you hostage. Right? So that's all part of the healing. So then you also, are you aware of your negative habits? So if you're a person that smokes cigarettes,
Mm.
in this day and day and time, very few people want to deal with anybody that smokes.
Yep. When I had that matchmaking service, I did that for 3 years. And one of the things, I had one lady, she was so pretty, but she smoked. I could
Yeah.
not match her. Nobody wanted to smoke her.
No, nobody wants to smoke, and nobody wants to smell smoke, and nobody wants to kiss a smoker.
Right. Yeah,
Not to mention your clothes smell like smoke.
that's a deal breaker for me. If he
Your
smoked,
car smells like smoke.
yep, that's it. Smoking, video games, because those are deal breakers for me.
Now, why video games?
It's really an experience that I had. I dated a video game junkie, and there was such a disconnect. I just don't even want to. The video game was like the other woman that lived in the house. It was a polygamous relationship. Me, him, and the video game.
And I take it that you were not a video game player.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I've played video games as a kid, but
Mm.
at the time I was running a business. That was back when I was doing Forex, and I just got into rehabbing and foreclosures and stuff. So I was doing stuff to generate income, and he was sitting in his underwear playing video games. That was a problem.
Yeah, he wasn't your partner, was he?
Not at all.
Yeah,
He was supposed to be.
yeah. But that's what the problem was. Had he been had he been one to participate in your other work, and he used video gaming as a recreation, that what I'm saying, that would be different. But it sounded like he literally was just addicted to sitting
He
still playing
was.
video game. Yeah.
He was addicted to sitting in his underwear playing video games. But okay, let's go.
How long did you stay in that relationship? Just curious.
So that's a whole story, because his mom died right after we got together, and he got custody of his younger brother. And so I helped raise his younger brother. And I stayed in that relationship longer than I should have. I wound up staying in there for 6 years,
Okay.
4 years. I was there from the time his younger brother was 14 to 18.
Okay.
And the majority of that time was because I was there for the younger brother, because
Mhm.
I knew that the video game junkie wasn't going to give this young boy anything, including food, because he
Wow.
was busy playing video games. And I was going to leave at one point, and the younger brother asked me, he said, if you leave him, can you take me with you? I'm
Aww.
like, dude, you are a 16-year-old, 6'3" male.
They would swear that was your boyfriend.
And I'm just like, can you feed him? Is what I'm saying.
No, a 16-year-old would eat everything you bring.
I'm like, I'm gonna have to stay with this dude, because at least
Right.
he can feed you. We got to keep him around for the food anyway. So yeah,
But I want you to just really acknowledge that that was the automatic queen response in you to stay and take care of him.
oh,
That's what a queen would do. Yeah.
that's what I did.
Yeah. For the child, for the children. You
Yep.
know, I give you 4 years. Bye.
Yes.
After
As
that,
soon
with
as,
the queen.
as soon as he turned 18, I'm like, okay, I have instilled in you everything that you need to know to make it on your own. I'm out.
Do you keep in touch?
every once in a while he has his own family now, and he lives out in Arizona with two kids and stuff. We used to keep in touch more frequently, but over the years it's kind of just you know. But it's all good. I'm all good. I'm all
Yeah,
good.
because he got to see the example of a good woman. So you gave him a number of different things.
And the woman that he's with, she's a good girl. She's educated. She's
Yeah.
really in there and stuff. So yeah,
Oh, I love that story. I hadn't heard that one.
I thought I had told you that. Okay.
You probably gave me the other part.
Yeah, I probably did. I probably gave you my pissed off part with the.
Yes.
That's the one I always told you. We were also very sexually mismatched. I know you
Okay.
remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we have to be aware of our own negative habits, and if we're serious about being in a long-term relationship, we have to get to work to correcting those. I hear people say, and I just had somebody tell me this last night, I don't change for nobody.
Mm,
And I'm thinking, what wouldn't you change? What about you would you not change if you knew that it would be? Do you know that in M. Scott Peck's book, The People of the Lie, he actually defines evil as the unwillingness to extend oneself for the benefit of another person.
mm,
The unwilling, in other words, I'm not going to do that for you just to benefit you. And that's why we have so many narcissists in our community, right? It's like all about me, all about me. But at some point, if you want something better, you have to extend yourself for the benefit of another person. You're going to benefit too.
right. That's what I was sitting here thinking. It's like, if you look at it like it's for someone else, then you may be hesitant. Like, why would I change for someone else? But if you look at it from the standpoint of, I want a healthy, long term relationship. And in order to achieve that, I'm going to have to take someone else's thoughts, feelings, and emotions into consideration.
Absolutely. And that's what compatibility is formed. That's where companionship is formed. That's where you have partnership. You otherwise you have nothing. You just have somebody there with you to give you what you want when you want it, but you're not extending yourself for their needs. And that creates a lopsided relationship all day long.
Right. Because if you don't care about anybody else's needs or thoughts or feelings, what you trying to be with somebody else for?
And there are people like that, but this is why we have to be aware of our own habits, so that when you're doing things to take care of yourself, to better yourself, it's easier for you to see and match with someone who's doing the same. If you're not taking care of yourself, then you're going to match with somebody who's not taking care of themselves too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not going to even pick that up. Matter of fact, you're going to like them so much, you're not going to care if they smoke. They just can't smoke in the house.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? Or they can't smoke in the car. You know, that kind of, and then people make those kind of contingency, it's like you really don't want this person to smoke and you said yes.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Right.
I
So
got
you
one
have
of
to
my
think.
daughters smokes, and I told her she can't smoke around me.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Even if I'm in your house. She, I
Well,
told her
when
house, she
I'm
can't
working
go
with
to it.
smoking clients, and I have helped several people to quit smoking,
The
but
crazy thing is, she quit smoking when she was pregnant, but then she started back and she's talking about she can't quit. I'm like, how you can't quit and you just did?
well, this is what I was gonna say. People that smoke actually have a disconnected relationship to themselves.
Mm,
So if they can really understand that when they take smoke into their lungs, your breath, I mean, the first thing that we do that we know that we're alive is to breathe,
mm-hmm.
right? So when you take smoke into your lungs, you're actually shutting down communication to your intuition.
Mm,
You're shutting down the connection for you to be able to hear feel, sense, all of those different chemicals are going into your nervous system that's right located right in your solar plexus. You're shutting all that down. So you don't have a connection to your authentic self.
Hmm.
Tell them Miss Rita said that.
I will.
Because it gives people a different, like, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to be shut down to my, yeah, you can't even hear yourself spiritually.
And it makes sense because if you are willingly choosing to do something that you know is killing you,
Yeah.
you can't be connected to yourself. Because, well, I'm not gonna ask
I
that.
knew something when I moved back to Chicago, however many years I moved back here, maybe 30 something years now, almost 30. But anyway, I when when they was when when they were selling loose squares, I was like, and the police not arresting them? Oh, they must be putting something else in those cigarettes because they trying to kill us if they letting you for real sell loose squares on the corner and they know you doing it and they not arresting you.
Mm,
They must want you to take those and kill yourself.
they do.
Yeah, they do. It's all a part of the connection in the whole system. That's a whole nother thing. But the whole pharmaceutical and drug and tobacco, they all part of the same cahoots. The FDA, the CDC, they all in the cahoots. The melanated people, we don't want you to know how
It's
powerful you
it's the
are.
population control and the fact
Come
that
on.
by 2030,
Yeah.
the majority will become the minority, and they don't want that to happen.
They don't want that to
So
happen.
it's the cigarettes, it's the alcohol,
All that. The
chemtrails,
food,
it's the
the,
food,
the
it's
yes,
it's
this
the
jab they just
shootings,
did.
it's the
They
shootings, it's the
yeah.
jail, it's all
And,
of that stuff. It's the
and then they just said children can get the COVID back. No. You
right.
see, come on. Y'all doing and then we're in the miseducation of who we are, we're saying yes to all this.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
like, no, no, don't let them do this to the children.
They keep all, they put the make the job situation difficult, and so then you have all of the people who can't get jobs, and they're all feeling hopeless living in the same area, and without hope, desperation kicks in, and so now you got killings amongst each other for territory over land that they don't own. I
Don't own.
understand it.
Have no control over it whatsoever. Have nothing to do with you. Okay? Yeah.
Yep.
So part of our work, and this is, why I started off today talking about we are the divine feminine, because those of us who are inside of this conscious conversation, we can accept the responsibility to make a change in our communities. But to do that, we have to first honor that there's going to be, you know, some more giving that we have to do before we receive.
Mhm.
It's going to be some, and people say, oh, I get, when I'm talking to young women, they be, but I do all this. That's how I get it. But part of all that we've been doing is the wrong stuff.
Mhm. Yep.
Now, suppose we take that same energy and we put this in the mix, like healthy eating, exercising, alkaline water.
Mhm.
We really do cut sugar out of our children's diet or
Mhm.
bring it down so low
Mhm.
that they're not craving it and bouncing off the walls. I mean, a child with childhood diabetes is just, that's a parental responsibility as far as I'm concerned.
Mhm.
But the doctors won't tell you, hey, this is what it is: potato chips, meat, sugar, candy, pastries, Pepsi, diet Pepsi, all of it.
Mhm. I got a question I want to ask you before we wrap it up because we're getting close. So we got about 6 minutes left. I
Yep.
heard something on TV the other day, and it does kind of go along with because we only got the five, so it's within the top five. So I was listening to this show. I listen to Fox Soul during the day because I can listen to it. It's got news, it's got entertainment, it's got different conversations and stuff. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to watch TV because I don't watch a lot, but I listen to some stuff if it's worth listening to. There's a show, I think it's something like chemistry or something. I don't know. And it's anyway, um, there was a guy on there and he said that there's a difference between what men say versus what women hear. He said that women hear things based on how she feels versus based on what he said. He said there was an experiment done with some couples, and they had the man and the woman sitting there, and the man would say something, and then they would have the woman repeat what he said. And they said that the women were 9 times out of 10 were unable to repeat what he said because they heard it through how they felt. Well, I think he said this because blah, 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 blah. Well, I feel like blah, 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 blah. This is what he said. And they could not verbatim repeat what the man said because he said women listen based on how they feel and not based on what's actually said. What do you think about that?
Well, that's interesting because number 10 is enhance your listening skills.
Ah, we didn't quite get there. Maybe I
We
should
can't
have
get there, but let me speak to that. Part of part of our listening, and this is also part of us being women, is that we do feel what we hear. Right? We feel what we hear. You hear people say all the time a woman falls in love with what she hears and a man falls in love with what he sees. Doesn't make one right or wrong, right?
wait.
So the the languaging, and suppose we didn't have a language.
Mhm.
If we didn't have language, you could still tell how a person feels about you if you didn't have language. But a lot of times people use language to cover up what they feel.
Mhm.
So a lot of times, and this has been my perception, a lot of times men are not comfortable having language about feelings. So they speak from the left side of the brain, and the woman listens from the right side of the brain.
Mm.
The woman speaks from the right side of the brain, and the man listens from the left side of the brain. That's why
Mm.
you always hear men go, "Well, that's not logical."
Mhm.
Well, I wasn't logically speaking,
Mhm.
I was spiritually speaking. But there's it doesn't have to be a disconnection. It just is the perceptions you can now. So if I know that that's how you listen, then I have to speak in a way that you can hear me. Or, sometimes people use that as a defense. I didn't hear what you said. That's a defense. That means I don't want to take in what you said. Or I want to tell you what I want you to say. I see that all the time with couples too. They refuse to accept what's being said. So it kind of depends on that makeup, but I do know that there is a difference. There is a difference. And communication styles for relationships, you have to study that together. We actually do that in our couple school. Really look at how you communicate with one another. And it starts with the nonviolent communication. And it starts with allowing the other person to speak. When I'm talking to my ex-husband, it is so hard for me to listen to him. I mean, it just and it's crazy because we could be having this really, really great conversation, and then all of a sudden he'll say something, and I say, "Okay, I got to get off the phone." And he likes to call me Rita Mae. Rita Mae, I was talking. I said, I know. Now, see, that's disrespectful. I said, I get it. I understand, but I got to get off the phone right now. Because for him, anytime I have an opinion or a voice or something, it's always disrespectful. And I'm just like, okay, okay, got it. I got it. But I got to go now. And there is no getting past that. I'm talking 40 years, no getting past that. 40
Wow.
years. Yeah. and we still, you know, I don't debate with him anymore. I don't, but now it's just like I got to get off the phone.
Okay.
So there is a difference in how men and women communicate. However, I that's why we started communication at the top. It's a huge, it's the highest, one of the highest values you can have, because I promise you, love is not enough. Love is not enough. I love you is not enough.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've heard that several times now.
yeah.
I'm starting
And
to see
and
it.
I know we got to go, but I just want to say that tonight on my podcast, I'm talking with Samir, and we're talking about astrology and relationships and why people cheat.
Uh-oh.
So,
I might have to call in on that.
right? And we have a form. So I sent the form to you. So we have a
I
form.
downloaded that.
Yeah, we have a form. I'm like, dude, you're getting too deep on me now. Wait a minute, hold up. you know. But we gonna hook y'all up. We gonna get the people hooked up.
So how can people listen to the show?
It's on. It's gonna be Facebook Live, so it'll be on my Facebook Live. I don't know which one. Patiently waiting for nothing, and I think Rita Stewart too. And then it's going to be on YouTube Live and also on Spreaker. Spreaker with the R. Spreaker.com live at 7 o'clock.
I'm supposed to be at a wine tasting. I'm gonna see if I can finagle my phone to be on speaker and get everybody involved in the conversation.
Wouldn't that be fun?
We'll see how well I do with that. I do stuff like that. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is it don't happen. I mean, ain't like I'm gonna die or nothing. They ain't gonna.
No, and then you can always re-listen to it because we always,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I just kind of want to, y'all gonna talk about why people cheat. I got to get on there with my non-monogamy thing. But anyway, let's
Hey, so